us through the questions basically, and then we just how much minute do we have? How much time do we have to answer those
I'm just
questions?
going to be like 50 minutes, but we're
No,
live
no.
now.
Okay,
Yes.
like per question, like what would it be like per like is it some time frame or anything like that?
So 45 minutes, we're going to talk about NLP, what that is, why you got certified it,
Okay,
why you got into sales and marketing, and what's the importance
okay,
of mindfulness, things of that
okay,
nature.
okay. All right. Okay, got it. Perfect,
So
perfect. No problem, no problem. Ready
welcome
to
to the
go.
show, Girish. It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure
Sorry.
to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story and the importance of mindfulness and how my audience can learn from that and use it in their life. But let's get right into the introduction, and then we're going to get right into this conversation.
Sure. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Girish, and I want to talk about
Thank you.
NLP, what that is, and why it is important.
Yeah, so NLP actually the full form is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. That was it was way back started in 1970 by Dr. Richard Bandler and John Grinder, and I learned it actually from Robert Dills, who was a student of John Grinder and Richard Bandler, and this all started way back in the university in California, San Jose University of California, UCSC. And so it was started in the campus, and they had this subject where Robert was studying with them. And since then, neuro-linguistic programming has been across the world. And the whole idea about neuro-linguistic programming was that the difference between therapy and neuro-linguistic. So therapy is you go into the past, like you take the people through the past and then see what was not working. But NLP is all about, they found out that what works well, how successful people are successful, how can we model the success, and that is how the neuro-linguistic programming came into. It's all about understanding the behavior pattern, because there is a language and there is a programming. As something is already programmed in your computer, you cannot change that. Whatever you see on your screen is a program, so there is a program already there and built. So we try to understand and try to see where the program is coming from, how the behavior pattern is coming from. Is it from childhood? Is it, when was that developed? And then we try to untie that, and kind of have a model to follow success, basically, because successful people have done something and that's how they are successful. So you don't have to go through the whole process. They just follow the process of the successful people and you will get there.
Okay,
So this
I
is
got it.
for me
So,
and just to give you an example, like how I started is that I started it about 10 years back, basically when I was working with children as part of the Toastmasters program to help them develop their public speaking skills. So I started with learning how to kind of understand them, how to work with them, because working with teenagers is not that easy, especially the 12 and the 17 years is pretty challenging,
I
and they have
bet.
their own terms and conditions. So I said, okay, if I have to work with them, I need to understand their behavior. And that is where I got really interested in neuro-linguistic programming. And from there, I've been working with them, working with their parents. And kind of understanding their behavior pattern and not judging them. The one thing I learned, not to judge them, and listen, how to listen. And sometimes in the NLP, the beauty about it is that you don't need to listen to the stories. You just need to kind of see their behavior, the visual cues, and then you can understand what's going in their world.
Okay, so you just kind of like examine them, see how they go about
Yeah,
their thoughts,
exactly.
beliefs, and then you just kind of.
Yes, absolutely. And moreover, it's about motivating them, kind of understanding them, appreciating them. So NLP has got so many tools. It's got, like, we have one tool which helps us to understand the building of rapport. How do you calibrate? And that also you can take it into sales or any part of the world. But how to kind of listen, how to actively listen, and also the cues. Basically, we have this visual, kinesthetic, and auditory languages, which we try to understand. There is this another model wherein we kind of understand that is the person more towards or is away from his goal. Is he proactive or is he reactive? So these are all tools in NLP we learn, actually, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it sounds very fascinating. I really want to get into how you
Yeah,
talk to kids. I know kids are different than
yeah,
adults, and sometimes,
yeah,
like I know a lot of therapists, they do this kind of type of things. Like they have to listen to their client and see where they're at, and they have to
yeah,
talk to them. Like if they talk low, if they talk high, they kind of have to like vibe with that energy so they could
yeah,
feel like that connection.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's what that was the challenge was, and I've been doing that for 10 years. So again, it was my passion. It's been an amazing journey, and without NLP, I don't think so. I would have learned. But also, NLP helped me in sales. When I started NLP, the same year I had to take up a new role as a divisional director. And the business was not doing well, so I had to take the business. It was just doing probably about $100,000. So that was my challenge, to take it to a profitable. And in 8 years or so, we took it to approximately about $4.5 million, starting from $100,000. So it was again all about the NLP, which helped me to work with the clients, to understand their behavior patterns, and listen, and kind of build rapport, calibrate with them, and ask questions. Because one thing in sales is that we try and tend to talk more about the features and products, and rather than listen. This is one thing I've learned from NLP, is that listen 80% and just share 20%, because we want to be more curious about what the client wants to say about his expectations.
That's funny. I just read a book called Why. I forgot the
Ah, yeah,
author, but he kind of talks about that, not just talking about
yeah,
your product, but kind of
yeah,
talking about how it can benefit your customer,
yes,
talking about them first and why
exactly,
that's
exactly.
important.
Yes,
So,
yes, absolutely.
but before you continue, I do want to like break it down to like a blueprint so then like my
Yes,
audience can like use it in their life. Let's say
sure.
they're in sales, but they don't know how to go about gaining clients
Sure.
to just get better at their business. Like what 5 tips would you give them to engage with their customers to get
Yeah,
more
thanks for
sales?
asking that. Yeah, that's a good question. So the first is, as I said, I was mentioning to you, is that to build rapport. It's like a rapport is not only about they call it the body language. You just kind of, but building a rapport is trying to understand from the client that what does he like. What is his you want to get on his good side. This is what I say is building a rapport, is that, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like in if you go for you go when a lot of people fly now after COVID, people have been flying. So if I go into the counter, the first thing I would say is that, how are you doing? Rather than just check my bags in, get my ticket. No, I would just open a conversation. I'm not interested in just asking things first. So I would say, how are you doing? How was the day? How is your family? And make them feel comfortable. So that's the first thing. And then if I want to ask for, if can I get an upgrade, or can I, if there's an extra baggage that I need to put in. But now I have a conversation. I've made a relationship. So what I'm trying to say is that, unless and until you don't have a relationship, it's no point in asking for business. Business will come, but people only buy from people. People don't buy from companies. People don't buy for the best of the product, the best of the feature. You need to make that relationship. And one needs to also calibrate. Like, if the person is not understanding what I'm trying to say, or is feeling a bit agitated, or he's out of time. The one thing I learned is that if someone sees the time, it's probably you're boring, you're kind of going out of track, or it's you need to change the topic. So this is like kind of rapport and calibration. This is the first step, I would say, that very, very important, that have a relationship, conversation. And it may take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Sometimes I had to wait for about a year to build that relationship, and then the business started. But never give up. This is one thing. So that's the first step. Then the second one I would say is that listen. Very important is that when you are going to a client, you want to listen to the client, understand their pain, understand where they're coming from, understand what is the need they have.
So
Rather
pretty
than,
much active listening and listening for their pain
yes.
points.
Absolutely, because everybody has a pain point. But the more you ask the questions, and NLP is all about questioning. It's not about how. Is that, what is that you could have done better, or what is that I could do to help you to get to your bottom line, or So asking those questions is very, very key. you know and the third important factor is that state management. If a salesperson is not doesn't have any state management, then the problem is that he won't be able to show his enthusiasm. He's just going. If he doesn't believe in his product, if he doesn't believe in himself, there is no way that he's going to believe in the client. That the client will say that he doesn't believe in his product, so how should I buy it? So the client will feel it. So believe in yourself and believe in the product is very important. So
So having a strong why in that aspect.
Absolutely, Khalil.
Having
Absolutely.
that big
That's
feeling.
yeah.
Like I see that with Apple customers, like they're all like in this whole click and Apple
Yes.
team,
Yes.
iPhone.
Yes. Exactly. And the fourth is, being more interested in the client. What does he like? What is the games he likes to play, or what is his hobbies? What food does he like? When I travel with all the customers around the world, I try to understand what is the type of the food they like, what do they like to see, where do they like to go. And that is more of, I'm not talking about business, but I'm just having a chat with them. I'm taking them out, and the more time you spend with them, the more you understand. So that also I've learned, very very important, that just engage and try to be more curious. The word would be more curious.
But we also live in a world where a lot of people are pretty protective. So if you do try to like approach them in a nice way, just give them a compliment. Some people like they kind of just look the other way. Some people don't know how to
Yes,
accept that. How do you go
yes,
about that
absolutely.
when you
So
approach
the
somebody?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I have learned, is that you always ask a question about themselves, about their family, about what do they like, what are their hobbies, how did they manage that situation, when it was a bit of challenging. So people like to talk about themselves, and that is what the key thing is. So then you don't become more of, that there is this wall doesn't come, towards you, saying that, oh, they're blocking, they don't want to share. And sometimes it might be too personal. So that's where calibration comes. I have asked a question which is not right, I change the question immediately. And the other thing about NLP is, again, when we say about the visual, kinesthetic, auditory, the fifth one I would say is that understanding that every person has got a different, system. Like, some maybe visual. So when I talk them, how do you see that situation happening? How did you see that thing coming towards you, or how did you feel? When that situation was coming in, or how do you feel hugging your children or your grandchildren? What was that feeling like? And what do you smell, when things are not right? Or that food, how do you know that food is good? So you're taking them into a different conversation, and there's nothing about,
Trying to tap into their
obstructing.
senses.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you're trying to tap into their senses. You said feel,
Yes,
touch,
exactly.
smell.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And state management, I would say, to summarize of all, that if I'm not in a great state, and like for instance, if you meet somebody and that guy is not in a good state, you would say, forget it, I'm not going to do business with that person. That person needs to sort out his own life. So that's one thing I've learned from my NLP teachers, is that state management is key, and that's where there are a lot of processes to that, how to get to the state management. But it's all about kind of, anchoring. That's the main thing we use in NLP, is that anchor your state before any event or before anything you're presenting.
Anchor your state. Okay. And you said anchor your state is just kind of looking. It's just how do you explain that again? Anchor your state.
Yeah, so anchor your state is like, if suppose, if I know that, thinking about something is going to make me feel bad, like if some, business has not gone well. So before going to the other customer, should I think about the deal which I lost, or should I think about a deal which is going to happen, a deal which is, so the way is that I'm going to visualize something that is going to already happen. Again, part of NLP is that something has already happened, not something is going to happen. So I'm already visualizing, I'm already setting an intention that when I go, the deal is already signed, and I'm getting away, I'm going to go happy, with the contract in the hand. Now someone might say, well, that is manipulation, you don't have the deal. But the question is that I'm in a different state. Imagine if I'm in a state, I may not get, rather than, why don't I get into a beautiful state that I have already got the contract, which makes me feel good, which makes me feel happy, which makes me feel more relaxed when I'm with the client, rather than
Okay,
thinking,
so kind of getting right into the right energy space, pretty much, like instead of in the negative
absolutely,
and the positive, so you can
yes,
portray that energy. Okay.
absolutely.
Hopefully, my audience is taking notes. Make sure you're in the right state of mind before you go see a customer or anyone,
Yeah,
so you don't portray the wrong type of energy
yes,
that can be
absolutely.
contagious.
Yeah.
But
So
okay, sorry,
give you
yeah.
an example, like if you're going on a tour and you've gone to a destination, and if you're not in a good mood, so for instance, you had a bad, like you lost your luggage, the flights were cancelled, with all these things what's happening around us, and then you sit into a cab, and the taxi driver is also awful, then your state also will go bad. But imagine if your taxi driver is full of enthusiasm. Hey, welcome to this beautiful place, Hawaii, and I'm going to take you around. I'm going to be your chauffeur. He said, hello. I've just landed. I'm not in a great state. But if he is in that continuous, in that beautiful state, your state will change automatically.
Okay, I've had that happen before. You just
So
uplift just based on your environment.
exactly. So anchoring that, and that's what I do, is that whenever I go for a meeting, rather than having the thought I'm not going to get, thinking about, oh, who am I going to present, I'm going to get nervousness. So this is one thing I've realized, that rather than thinking about that, it's not about me. Even in presenting, it's not about me. It's about what I'm going to give them. I have the best product. I have the best solution that I can serve them, that they will benefit. So that's what my job is. And listen, if I can add value. How can I add value? Because they, as Jim Rohn say, that people pay you for your value. People don't pay you for your time or the product. They pay you for what value you're adding in the business.
That seems like a way to lower your anxiety as well. Not thinking about it's about yourself, but instead
Absolutely.
thinking about the customer or who you're trying to give value to.
Yes.
Therefore, it's a much easier process.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one. Yeah.
But I do want to tap into limiting beliefs, because that's important right now. A lot of people in this world, they get stuck in their ways. They're afraid. They don't know what to do. They have this image of themselves, maybe from a kid into adulthood, and they just don't believe they can do anything. How do you fight that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And that is one part of the NLP, the core part of NLP, limiting beliefs. And I can tell you from my example that from my childhood onwards, people that when I was growing up, I was not very good in studies. So I used to have all these titles, I'm a failure, I'm good for nothing, I can't do it. Money doesn't grow on trees, money is hard to earn. Money is not for you, money is for everybody else. So all these I can't, I need to have a lot of training, I need to have a lot of education to get to there. But this is all the belief. Is just basically sentences. And we start believing, and I started believing at the age between 3 to 8. As I say, the limiting beliefs usually is between the age of 3 to 8 and between the 8 to 12. So this is very critical. So hence, when I was working with the children, I made sure.
Why do you say 3 to 8 to 8 to 12? Is it because your kids are really impressionable at that age?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where we program the children unknowingly that you cannot do that. This is not good for you. This is not you need to grow up and then you can do this. But I think so, rather than saying that you cannot do it, this is not for you, you cannot achieve it, we have to kind of explain to them and motivate them. Well, this is possible. However, this requires this little bit of skill. So give it more time and you will be able to get it. But now you need to. So this is where it is. We kind of really don't focus on how we communicate, and that's how it happens, the limiting beliefs. And that's how most of the people, I would say majority, are living their life with on the shadow of the limiting beliefs unconsciously. As I say, that we think the same thoughts, 90% of the same thoughts are what we repeated, from the previous day and the previous. So it keeps repeating unless and until we change that limiting belief. So it's a process. Limiting belief is not something that you change overnight, but it's a process. And it requires that affirmations, as again, you need to have a lot of affirmations. You need to set your goals, you need to set your objectives. And the most important thing about I've learned for limiting belief that can help you is setting your victory log, like you're journaling and setting a victory log, and celebrating the small victories also. That makes you feel good, and starts appreciating yourself. That's the thing. Because what happened because of the limiting belief is that I was not loving myself. And the first thing that I learned from NLP is that I need to appreciate and love myself, no matter whatever I have. I may not be that rich, I may not have that education, but what I have is myself, and I need to love myself for what God has given me. And once I appreciate that and love myself, things start changing.
So those are the things that you would say: affirmation, setting your goals, objectives, victory log, and appreciating the small things, being grateful.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a good way to eliminate those.
To start with, because limiting belief is a stem. If one limiting belief belief is true, then you have another limiting belief. So when you work with a coach, and I would highly encourage people to kind of get a coach, get a mentor, and help somebody can take you through the process of the limiting belief. Because the one belief goes like, say for instance, I'm not good enough. One goes, okay, why, what is that limiting belief, and when it was established, the limiting belief. Have I not done something good that I can say that I'm not good enough, or throughout my life I'm not good enough? So and then the money is a big problem. Money is evil. Money is not good for for the growth, or I cannot have enough. So the biggest part, the money is also a very big thing. I cannot have all the happiness in the world. According to whom? The other thing what we learn, according to whom? Who says that you cannot have it?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like I heard of a scientist, no, not a scientist, but I heard a wise man say that you have to challenge your thoughts, like automatic
Yes.
negative thoughts.
Yes.
You have to ask, why is this true? Is
Yeah.
this true? Who
Absolutely.
says? Who
Absolutely.
is saying that this is true?
Yes.
And
Yes.
can you
Yes.
prove it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would like to add just one more thing in that, is that asking those great questions is that, is this a limiting belief serving me? What, or is it really important for me at this moment? How is it serving me? For so many years, I've been under shadow. What can I do to make sure that I let go this, and then kind of bring in the new belief? And that's where the affirmation, that's where that thought comes in. That, like for instance, I'm grateful and I'm thankful that I have a beautiful life. I'm grateful and thankful that I am very healthy and happy. I'm grateful and thankful that I am rich of abundance. I have abundance of happiness. So this is what will, because subconscious mind has programmed that. So how can I let that go and bring in more? So it's like replacing. You cannot kind of bring it through it, but you need to replace it with some positive and powerful thoughts.
Okay. That's a powerful thing you just said there. Yeah, your subconscious is just automatic. You just got to be conscious in the moment and kind of switch it out. But I do want to get into mindfulness now that you bring that up.
Yes.
How important is
Yes.
mindfulness in the present moment? Because a lot of time we're thinking about the past and then we're not mindful of the present.
That's a very, very important topic. Absolutely. And again, the NLP really has taught us that. First, I understood about the thoughts. A lot of people say the mindfulness. Some people have that imagination saying that, oh, mindfulness means you can stop the thoughts. Asking the thought to stop itself a thought. So there's no way that you can. Thoughts will keep coming. But one thing I can say about mindfulness is John Kabat-Zinn has beautifully put it, and he's the master when it comes to mindfulness. And the other person I learned from is that Ming, I think so, is Mr. Rinpoche. So basically, he's a monk, and from in Nepal. So the one thing what I learned from them is that how to be in the present moment. So if you had a very, very layman definition, is that just be in the present moment. The thoughts will keep coming and going, but practice breathing. Like for instance, inhale and exhale. Now the most important is, I find that people sometimes they don't know how to inhale and exhale. When you inhale, what happens to your diaphragm? When you exhale, what happens to your so does it contract? Does it does it expand? So that's the first thing to understand, that what is the right type of breathing. And I feel once you know that, then you're able to inhale and exhale. And then again, inhale and exhale is like some people breathe through the nose and exhale through the nose. That is also okay. But what I have learned is that inhaling and exhaling, inhale from the nose and exhale through the mouth. So I'm just going to give you an example. So when you inhale, so you can hold it for about 3 or 4 seconds. Let the oxygen go, because you're getting the oxygen every part of the body, even the brain. And then you exhale at the count of 4, like. So you're releasing all that negative energy, and you feel really great. And you do that for about a minute, and then you count your breath. That's a challenge. So you count your breath. The thoughts will come. You might think about pizza. You might think about your dinner. You might think about what is the plan for the next day. Let them come. Welcome them. I used to fight them, but now I welcome them. And I'm now, the good news that I'm able to sit for meditation, practice meditation for an hour without getting agitated, without getting disturbed. So that started by 5 minutes of practice, and then eventually 10 minutes and 20 minutes. And, that's
So
how you
counting
feel.
your breaths just keep you in that present moment.
Yeah, that will be the first step. I think so. Like John Kamath had sent one beautiful example. He said that when you're in shower, when you're, in the shower, just check, where is your thought? Are you in the present moment? Are you in the past, or are you in the future? So if you're in the past, then you're thinking all about what happened. That's not going to serve you. You can learn from it, but there's not going to no point in dwelling. And if you're thinking about the future, it has not happened. Yes, it's great to set goals and objectives, but what about the present? Are you appreciating the present moment?
Oh, that's a good point
So
you make. Yeah, being present, that's the only way you're going to make it to the future. And if you're not being accountable and executing today, then that future is going to be different. So it's no point in thinking about it. It's
exactly,
better to be in the
exactly.
present. Like I see a
Yeah.
lot of people make that mistake. Like they think too much about
Yes.
the future, but they don't do enough in the
Yes.
present.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
with that being said, let's get on to the topic of goals and vision. I want to talk about
Yeah.
setting your goals and visualizing and the proper process. 'Cause a lot of time we don't know how to set goals. And a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
people
Absolutely.
just hope for the best and they might pray, which is a great thing to do, but they don't act on it. They don't keep track.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this is something I used to know. I used to set goals, but again, I give this credit to Jack Canfield for this wonderful in journey and success principles. But what I learned from him is that, again, whether it's Jim Rohn and all the other motivational speakers and trainers in success, is one thing that I've learned that is very important to write down your goals. I used to just think in the head, oh, I have this goal, and this is what I want to achieve, but I never wrote down. And what Jack says challenging is that write down 101 goals, 101 goals, whatever that may be, like whether it is travel, whether it is business, whether it is family, whether it is
Is that 101 goals?
yeah, that's why he says
Okay.
101. And I said, no way, I'm going to write 101. I've not written even 5 goals. And what is 101 goals? But I took it as a challenge because I said that I haven't done something that has really got me to that level where I want to be. Why not try something that will get me to that level where there is guaranteed success? And I started doing that. And the principle behind writing your goals is that first is that you write down your goals so that it's your dream. So at least when you're at the age of 80, and you're sitting on the rocking chair, you don't want to think about, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I could have done that. So I should, I could, I would. Those are all eliminated. You write it down, and then from those goals, you pick up 3 top goals. For that, what am I going to work on? And then you start visualizing as if they are already happened. Is it, as I said, could be a travel destination, it could be your career goal, it could be something that you want to achieve really, really. You've not been, like, singing. Someone like, I want to do singing, that could be their goal. Or an hobby, a painting, something that they have not tried. But it's important to write it down and then visualize it. See how things are, how you're going to make it happen, because visualization is very, very key. This is something also I realized that I never used to visualize it. Visualize as if it has already happened. Visualize as it is already, it's there. So when you reach, like, a lot of people want to become a millionaire, they don't want to become they never say I want to achieve 99 million or 900. It's always come with a 1 million, so basically, but how to get to the million? Visualization will help them, kind of thinking that I've already achieved it, and once they get it, they're living that life already. So that's what the goal setting and visualization comes. And then the third one to add on that is affirmation. That I am a millionaire. I am happy and grateful that I see the $1 million in my account. I am happy and grateful that I am enjoying the life of freedom, of wealth, basically. So that's what affirmation helps, basically. But the most important thing of goal setting is that I would like to add is that the SMART goals, where we say is that when you set a goal, say for instance, I want to I want to be a painter, for instance, I want to start painting, by when, and you're going to do that. That's the most important thing. Like, for instance, I need to set a goal. I'm going to do the painting by when? By June
So
30th.
deadlines.
Deadline, exactly. Set
How do
yourself
you
a
feel
clear
about
goal.
the SMART goals?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
specific, measurable. I forgot the other
Exactly.
ones.
Exactly. Yeah, specific measuring smart goals. So the other part is that if you don't know the timeline, then probably you will not probably achieve it. You'll say, okay, if not now, not later, and you will not have that enthusiasm. So that's very important, to set the clear goal that I'm going to achieve it by this date, and then let people know that this is your goal, so that maybe they can help you, to achieve that goal also. And one final tip is for people to write their goals and achieve that, and really get to that, is that affirmations, visualization. And there was something it just came up and popped out, but I'll get through. But again, goal setting is very, very important for setting a beautiful life. And the thoughts will come, and yes, it came. It's very important to set the why. Why are you setting this goal, and what this goal is going to get you for outcome? So you need to have a purpose. See, if I'm doing painting, why am I doing painting for? What is the purpose? Forget it. I'm not going to do it. It's boring. But if I put a purpose that by painting, I'm going to express myself, and I'm going to, share my expressions with throughout the world, not made through the words, but through my painting, and what the world is going to look like, how this earth is going to be in the next 20 years. That way, I am contributing towards the society.
So let me break it down for my audience so they can write it down. So as far as goal setting, what I wrote down, make sure write 101 goals, pick the 3 top, visualize, or act as if they already happened. And that's so you can understand what qualities you need to obtain, or beliefs or thoughts to obtain it. Visualize, affirmations, deadline, or you won't do it. I feel like deadline is really important. If you don't set a deadline, you're gonna be like 5 years from now, I do it.
Absolutely.
And the why and the outcome.
Yeah.
So you can
outcome is very important. Yes, exactly.
So you can overcome adversities when something arises.
Absolutely. There's something to wake up in the morning and do something. I can give you a very simple example for people, for your audience, is that, like, if you want to buy a car, you want to buy a car, and you've been dreaming about a car. But the thing is that one important thing, you set a goal by when, and that is right. But you kind of visualize it. You take a picture, put it on your wall, put it in your refrigerator, and you see it every day, that this is the car I want, this is the color I want, and I want it by this time. So what happens is that then the brain starts figuring it out, saying that they say the RAS, the reticular activation system, gets into place, and that kind of then shows you all the signs and the opportunities, and it gets you closer to your dreams. That's what subconscious mind is all about, that you have set that I want this car by this time. The whole system starts working.
Oh, that's why I guess vision boards are so important too, especially if you see it every day.
Exactly. I was going to come to that. Yeah, absolutely. But Khalid, this requires effort. And that's the difference between successful people and, I would say that everyone is successful, but probably they have not put in the effort. And this requires effort, real effort. But effort with a lot of pleasure.
Yes, you definitely want to enjoy the process, or it's going to just feel like it's dragging you.
Yeah.
And you're just not going to continue. But my next question is, how do we improve our communication with teenagers?
That's a good question. Yeah, teenagers, is I would say is all same around the world, and that's what I found. It's not that it's a little bit different in UAE or India or Europe. Everywhere around the world, it's the same. What I have learned is that communicating with them as a friend, rather than as a parent. This is where the first thing it'll make a difference, is that kind of trying to understand and appreciating them and acknowledging them. Sometimes we kind of, as a parent, we kind of say, you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this. We set rules and guidelines. That's great. We need to set that because it's for their betterment, as they're growing. But how about if we set it in a different way as a friend, and we explain to them that if you do this, this is the outcome, and if you do this, and this is the outcome. So that's one important factor we need to and teach them, because all the skills today, Khalil, is that they don't learn in the school. They don't learn about finance. They don't learn about values. They don't learn about kind of how to really overcome stress and anxiety and overcome depression, and what are the signs of this. School is all about education. But if we teach them this, and if we give them the values and make them more strength and empower them, things will be different, really different. And one thing I would like to add is that what I usually tell them is that, how much time do you spend? Like, if there are 3 or 4 children in the family, do you spend time with each individual child, or do you spend as a collective, as a family? They will always say we collectively. But it's very important to spend time with each your child, like it's a boy, girl. Spend time with them and understand what do they want, what are they going through, what are the challenges they are facing. It will make a big difference in their life.
Correct. We have to talk to them like they're people, not just like they're kids. Respect them,
Absolutely.
respect their opinions.
Absolutely.
Talk to them as if we want somebody to talk to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I can
But
share with you just a story, a practical, so this was between Rose and Mary. So, Rose was about, like, I think so about 14 years old, about 12 years old. So she comes to, she was about 12, but from her childhood, she used to always come. She had this habit of sharing with her mom when she used to come back home. Oh, this happened, that happened, she used to be so excited. But after a certain age, I would say about like after 10 or 11, something like that kind of age, she stopped sharing, and as she was growing older, after 12, mom wanted to listen. Oh, what was happening, and she never noticed for so many years that she kind of was not listening, and that's the reason she stopped sharing. So that kind of gap grew quite long, and when she went into the college, she just stopped sharing. She just started sharing with her friends, and she was not communicating. And the parents were really, the mother was wanted to listen, wanted to know what's happening in the college. But I felt that time when she had an opportunity, when she used to come home and she wanted to share, and that was stopped. For no reason. She was busy cooking or whatever that is. She was not paying attention. That kind of made a difference. That's why I said the age of 3, 8, and 8 to 12 is very, very critical. If we ignore that age, it is very difficult to get it back after that. Get them to communicate with you.
I can see that. Yes. And once that's gone, it's hard to reestablish that connection.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, carry on.
Now, also what I learned working with the teenagers, with the power of NLP is that, like, music, I was not that great in music. So I knew about music, but Justin Bieber or the other artists, Ariana Grande and hip hops and so Lady Gaga, I was not aware. I was aware, I had heard about it, but not much aware. But they used to play these songs, and then I got excited. I said, okay, let's play on your music and let me hear and explain to me about One Direction. And they were all this One Direction fans and K-pop. So I learned it, and then I used to play those songs. This is, sir, you learned it. I said, yeah, I want to be like you. That made a big shift. So now I'm not someone else teaching them, but I'm like them.
Now you have something in common to talk about.
Absolutely.
That's how you connect with people. You got to find something to connect with.
Absolutely.
But my next question was, I know you said you were a motivational speaker as well. What 5 tips would you give someone that's trying to get into their certain niche? Maybe they have they want to talk to kids or adults in a certain theme, maybe about business or sales. What tips would you give that person? What 5 tips would you give them to start?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the most important, I would say, is that the first one would be is that go for it. If you feel, and before that, I would say is that you need to have the passion, because motivational speaker is just not motivating people, but it's like getting them to take action. You can motivate, like I've seen so many motivational speakers. They go, oh yeah, hi, there's this big buzz, yes, let's go for it. And after that 1 hour or they will go home and then forget about everything, and then the next day is the same thing. But how about if you get them to take action, if you kind of make a little change, show them some way or a path to kind of change their life or change where they are in right now, I think that will make a big difference. So if somebody is planning to get into the motivational speaking arena, is that first of all, go for it. If that's something, and find your passion. Again, find why and what is the end result going to be. So that would be the first tip, basically. And the second one is, rather than finding what can I do on, learn from the mentors. Like as I said, I've been following Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Oprah. So these are the people I've been learning. Like I've been listening to their speeches and how do they deliver, what are the points they deliver, and kind of make a difference. Like I learned from Oprah one beautiful stuff about gut feeling. I had no clue about gut feeling and how to follow your heart from a 2008 Stanford speech. That
Yeah,
made a
that's
big
incredible.
difference. From that one message has changed my life. So imagine, just by listening to her. I've never met her. Love to meet her one day, but just by listening to her show, Oprah Winfrey show, the Super Soul Sunday, that has given me a new way of living. That's how I found Jack Canfield. That's how I found, John Kabat-Zinn. And that's how I found all the other speakers.
Yeah, I heard one powerful thing she said. It's all about intent, thought,
Yes.
and action.
Yes.
Like when you go into a
Yes.
meeting, ask what are the
Yes.
intentions. So now you're not wasting your time.
Exactly.
And now you have that
Exactly.
process and you know where you're starting from, what goal,
Yes.
which
Yes.
I thought was really
Absolutely.
important. Just like
Yeah.
goals
Yeah.
or anything you do in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, and one other thing I learned from Jack and Tony Robbins is that try to attend as many seminars, listen to podcasts like what you're doing. You're doing a great job, and every speaker who comes on board, TEDx, and I try to listen. I try to learn even one point. And who knows, when you go to the seminar or when you engage with somebody, there might be someone whom can help you to get you to the next level. Because you are just, as I say, that you're just 9 steps away from getting to your goal. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, sometimes 3 steps, sometimes, or they say also from 9 doors away, but you need to keep knocking. If you don't knock, you will not know whether the opportunity was there or not. So you need to keep knocking. So motivation is all about, kind of keep moving ahead. There will be a lot of rejections in life. There will be a lot of obstacles, but that's what motivation is all about. Motivate those who are motivated. They never stop.
True,
And
true.
and that's what I like to share with people. Always have that motivation. And the other thing is that a motivation is, again, being a practical example. Walk your talk. If you are not into goals, or if you're not writing, you're like, I always say, for successful people, journaling is very important. As I mentioned, setting your goals, objectives. If you don't do that as a person, probably your audience may not do that as well. They will say, well, I have not seen this person doing it, so why should I follow that
So
person?
lead by example.
Exactly. And I can share a quick story about Gandhi. When a mother took her son to Gandhi and said, he's eating a lot of sugar cane. Can you stop him? Can you just say to stop him to eat, eat this, not to eat too much of sugar cane? He said, okay, bring him back next week. So she said, bring him back next week? Just to say him not to eat, you want me to bring him back next week? She was thinking. She said, just bring him back next week. So she goes back next week with the son. Gandhi then says, Mahatma Gandhi says to the son, to the boy, he says, you know what, sugar is not good. You want to grow healthier, and you want to do big. So try not to eat too much of sugar. He says, that's it. Then why didn't you tell last week? Mahatma Gandhi says, he said, that time I was eating, so I had to first see whether I can stop, and then I had to tell him. So that is a great
That's funny.
example. Yeah, that walk your talk. If you cannot do it, other people won't do it, and that's what I realized.
That's powerful. I try to do that as a health coach myself. I know there's a lot of things I can't do. And if I do it and I tell someone else not to do it, then I'm not leading by example.
Exactly. So really, the principles, first is you follow it and you try to do it, and and see how it comes, and then it becomes very, very powerful. And the other one is that kind of keep educating yourself. Keep learning new things, because there are so many tools, like how you can help people to take, like a process, for instance. A motivational speaker can make a big difference by taking someone through phobias, taking some fear. But it's not just motivating, but you've taken someone through a process, so that means you become more credible, you become more, people start following you more.
Okay, I got 3 more questions for you.
Go ahead.
So you just tapped into one of my favorite subjects too, professional development, which I'm a fan of. How do you think people can excel in whatever they're doing, especially if they're not in school? Like you said, you listen to a lot of Jack Canfield.
Yes.
So what tips would you give somebody? Like, it could be books, webinars, seminars, finding a coach. What tips would
Yeah.
you give someone to develop themselves?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like like you said about Jim Rohn, it's about the value you give to your audience, your community. That will determine your value.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah, so the most important, I would say, in this aspect, is that Professional development requires your commitment. When I started learning NLP, that required me to travel to the US. That required me to stay there, learn, the first, and then be an assistant. Because when you get an opportunity to be a resource person, we call it resource person assistant, then you learn more from the trainers, because now you are interacting with the trainers regularly. And then you are, as an observer, you're looking at how the participants are performing, and how they're doing, how you can help them to ease their if there is any questions, any doubts, or they have some anxieties about the program, so how you can help them. So this is what helps. That requires a lot of investment, personal development, and also requires a lot of passion. If you're really passionate, I can learn something and I can leave it. I could have learned something and left it. And a lot of people do that. They learn something and then leave it. But if you really want to go ahead in your life, you start something, go for it. Like I've been doing Toastmasters, also as a personal development that comes into Toastmasters. But I didn't leave it. Yes, initially it was a bit of a challenge. I had no clue about, and standing on the stage, as they say, they say that biggest phobia or is that I would love to die, or because the fear is that I would love to die rather than go onto the stage and speak, for even a minute or so. But that's what it is. Go for it, and jump into it. Take the action. If you think over it, never going to happen. Take action, and this is how you will develop your skills. And then you will find out as you move forward that what is good for you. Which is this good for me? Is it motivational speaking? Is it training? Is it maybe counseling? Is it therapy? Something, whatever, you will come to know as you go further. But go for it. First is to take action.
Got it. So hopefully my audience is taking notes. Commitment, passion, take action, don't overthink, and just grow yourself. Everything you have is within. Like,
yes,
unless you're outside circumstances.
And choose a mentor, like a virtual mentor, or who you can speak to, and find out how they have been successful in their field. And that'll be a great help, because they say you don't want to go all around. You want to go cut the.
You want to find a blueprint.
Yeah, exactly. Blueprint. You want to model them. And then cut the maize through and get to the cheese. There's a saying, right? Cut the maize and get the cheese. You don't want to go around.
Yes. Yeah, you want to find the shortcuts. Find somebody. I do that in my business.
Exactly. But and they all had mentor. Whether Tony Robbins has said, whether Jack Canfield, W. Clement Stone, Jim Rohn had a mentor as well. So they all talk about the mentor, which is very, very key.
Yeah, it's important. That's very valuable. Where can people find you?
Thank you for asking that. So on the Facebook with Delta NLP Minds, and the website as well, Delta NLP Minds. So yeah, they can feel free to ask any questions, any doubts they have. And I have dedicated my life to sharing as well. I'm not someone who kind of want to I always want to give in return. And during my coaching sessions or during my seminars and training, I usually always go a little bit overboard on timing. So I have to always say, give me 5-10 minutes more, because I always want to give as much as what I have learned. And that's what I learned from my NLP teacher, Robert Dills. He said that always give, because what we have received, and if we can share with people and make a life difference in their life, they will always appreciate it. And that's the biggest blessing I think so one can have. The biggest wealth is the blessings and the changes that you can make in their life. So I'm quite happy to share whatever I have learned, and if I can make a difference in their life, absolutely, it will be a great honor and pleasure.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing to want to give to people, give value to people. But absolutely. Also, I have his links below if anybody want to find him. But my last question for you: what do you see yourself in 5 years?
Great question. Thank you. Well, I see myself really traveling all around the world and touching people's life, igniting the passion, and making a difference. That's what I want to see, is that as a speaker, as a trainer, as a coach, that one thing that one thing I would get if there was a training sessions or anything, the one thing feedback I would get is that when I came to his session, I didn't know what I would get, but when I'm leaving now, I'm so happy and I'm grateful that I've changed my life at this moment, at this time. and I'm all free of fears and phobia. That's something which is really rewarding for me, and that's what I want to see myself making a difference in the coming years, and in the 5 years I see myself.
So you see yourself traveling more and just giving value to
Yes.
people with
Yes,
like,
absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. Traveling different places, different culture, because I love to learn from different culture. And different. And every culture is so unique and so beautiful. So, and when you go, you kind of relate with them, you make relations, and kind of make a difference. That's what it is for me. That's my mission.
that's your mission. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my next question is going to be really important then. Now we're about to get into the I don't active health round. I like to ask my guests 5 questions to end the show off. My first
Yes.
question for you is, what is your purpose in this world?
Oh wow, that's a wonderful. So the purpose in this world is to be a success coach and ignite passion in individuals and empower them with all the resources and tools that can change their life.
That was an amazing answer. I like that.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm going to have to watch this recording and write that down. My second question is, what are some things you do to relieve like your cortisol levels? Because you say you meditate, you've been doing that for 30 years, but a lot of people get stressed in life. That's why we
Yeah.
can't follow our goals because we may have adversities. But for you, what do you do to lower your stress levels, your cortisol levels?
Yeah. So one thing again, I've learned very powerful is that what you say to yourself, if you're going through some, maybe you're going to give a speech, or you're presenting, or something is going in your head, financial worries. What is you're telling yourself at that moment, that and then you're projecting that image. That is what is going to happen to you, because the body doesn't know the difference between the real and what is not fact. Like when we say the laughter yoga, I also do a little bit of laughter yoga. When we say take people through laughter yoga, you don't know, the body doesn't know what's going on in your life. So when you laugh, you bring in that happiness. You're releasing endorphins and other happy chemicals. So that's why you reduce the cortisol. So not projecting what is happening in your life, probably the financial any worries, but projecting something that is not something that is going to happen. Like for instance, something good, something a happy state, a happy destination. You think about that, and that will reduce your cortisol.
Okay. Just channeling your thoughts, being one with your thoughts and changing it.
Absolutely. And being again in the present moment. So I always, when I'm, that happens to me, then I, focus on my breathing. Breathing is really powerful, very, very powerful.
Okay. My third question: what is your morning routine? What do you do when you wake up to get your mind ready and your body ready for the day? 'Cause that's really important. Some people, they may start off wrong, and it
Yeah.
just leads to worry.
Yeah, I just say, some people are evening people, and some people are, late afternoon people. Some people don't see the sunrise at all. They're
Yeah.
just haven't seen. They only see the sunset. So yeah, the morning is very important. I wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. For instance, my day starts at 4 a.m. Do meditation for 1 hour. Then I kind of read something very powerful, something empowering, and then go to the gym. Again, I set the day, not in the morning, but I set the day previous night, writing the journal and setting, well, how am I going to set the day next day? What is my intent? What am I supposed to do? So really setting that intent for the next day, that helps me to start the day. And again, setting a purpose, as you asked the first question, what is my purpose in life? What am I there to give? So really empowering myself as well. So this is how I start the day, and then I cook as well myself. So that's my routine. So it keeps me pretty busy. So meditation, empowering thoughts, writing, and then going to the gym or practicing yoga, and then preparing the food in the morning. Food for the mind, food for the body.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
having a wonderful healthy breakfast, that also motivates me. That if I miss and if I sleep, everything is going to go away.
That ties into my next question. What foods do you like to eat to nourish your mind and your body that gives you energy
Yeah,
in the
that's a
morning?
great question. Great question. So I'm vegetarian. So first thing in the morning, I start with an apple, because they say that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I start with some fruit, and I used to love the what they call it, the oats. The muesli, or what we call it, the oats porridge. So that's what something I start the day, that keeps me filled at least for 3-4 hours, because it's a busy day. So that's something I really start. But fruits is something I really recommend. So wherever I go in the world, I'll try to get an apple. That's how I start my day.
Amazing. My last question is, what workouts
Yes.
do you have to do to simulate your mind and your body? 'Cause like you said, well, we didn't talk about it, but when you work out, you lower your insulin levels and you get that adrenaline rush, clear mind, and it's healthy for your body and your mind. So what workouts do you like to do in the mornings?
I try to do kind of different ones. Like, for instance, one day I will plan for kind of yoga and kind of Pilates type of exercises, build the core. And then some days I'll probably lift the weight, like dumbbells and the other weight exercises I would probably do, shoulder press and few others. But I kind of mix and match. So for my routine is that I tend to do 4 days in a gym, and then 2 days I tend to go for a walk, at least an hour for a walk. So this is usually, so that gives me, I'm connected with the nature as well, and I am able to breathe and able to stretch. So this is what I generally do. But yeah, it's fun. It's really, really fun to start the day with some exercise in the morning. As what you're doing, you're really, really big advocate of healthy exercising. And this is what I would recommend, that if there is something that if you're going through some problems or challenges or anxiety, go and work out, find a trainer is very important, because I realize that if you don't train properly, then you might hurt your back, lower back. You may not get the results. So whether it's coaching in life or whether it's training, I'm a big advocate of doing that. So it's very important to get a trainer if you're starting.
Very important. Well, I want to say thank you to my audience for checking into the Eye on Active Health Show. It was amazing to have you out here, and it was amazing to have you as a guest. I hope my audience learned more about Neuro-Linguistic programming and meditation, and hopefully they took a lot of notes on how to eliminate self-limiting thoughts and just go after their goals and be successful at anything they do.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you, Khalil, for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful